Systems under KTU University. So in this video, we are going to discuss about the fading concepts. Fading, also called as a small scale fading, and the different terminologies associated, what causes fading. So probably at the end of the video, you'll be able to answer these questions of what is fading, what are the effects that contribute to fading, and yes, of course, and different terminologies like coherence bandwidth, Doppler spread, and coherence time. So let's quickly begin the topic. So how can you define fading? Fading is nothing but rapid fluctuation or rapid change in the amplitude of a radio signal over a short period of time. Yeah. So that is nothing but change in the signal strength as it propagates through the channel. Now, what causes fading? Fading is caused by interference between signals. When I say interference between signals of different versions, when I say different versions, let me say I have a transmitter over here, I have a receiver over here. Now, from the transmitter to the receiver, there are different ways through which signal can actually propagate and reach the receiver, right? So one is already discussed. One is the line of sight path. The other could be reflected. We could have another path through scattering or diffraction as well. So at the receiver, the same signal, okay, undergoes different, it takes different paths, undergo different type of attenuation or disturbances, and then they reach the receiver. So we can consider these as different or separate channels, right? Because each undergoes a different effect. Each path can be considered to be a channel. Now at the receiver, what happens? All the signals which reach the receiver are vectorially added up, which means constructive interference or destructive interference can occur. That is, the signals may be in the same phase, they may get added up, or if they're out of phase, they may get cancelled off, leading to constructive and destructive interference respectively. So this is what I mentioned as different versions of the transmitted signal arriving at different times. They may vary in amplitude and phase as well. Now, if we actually consider this figure, this is nothing but multipath propagation, right? So signal being transmitted through different paths and it reaches the receiver. Now, due to multipath propagation, fading may occur. Okay, fading will have three effects. One is the rapid change in the signal strength over a small period of time. Second is the rapid frequency modulation due to Doppler shift. You might have heard of this term, Doppler shift, right, in physics. So as I told you, multipath propagation creates fading effects. First effect is rapid change in signal strength. Second, random frequency modulation due to Doppler shift. Third, time dispersion or delays. So rapid change in signal strength, random frequency modulation due to Doppler shift, and time dispersion. So these are the three fading effects caused by multipath propagation. Now in urban areas, if you consider, you'll have very tall buildings or buildings of different heights, and compared to the mobile antenna, you can compare the size of the building and the mobile antenna. We can say height of the mobile antenna is well below the height of the surrounding structures, right? And the possibility of line of sight propagation is very, very rare. And even if we're lucky enough to get a line of sight path, there can be multipath propagation here, and it could lead to destructive or constructive interference again. Yeah, that is a scenario in urban areas. Now, and even there'll be a possibility for deep fades. Deep fades is when the signal is completely faded off, or it is completely reduced in strength that we cannot detect and interpret the signal correctly. Yeah. So, what happens when? Yeah, that is it about the first point. Second point is Doppler shift, frequency variation due to Doppler shift. What is this Doppler shift all about? So Doppler shift, let me explain Doppler shift first. So Doppler shift, I'm sure you all have learned this concept before. Let me say I have a transmitter and I have a mobile user. Yeah. Now this is an antenna. Now this antenna is propagating signals and this mobile user is receiving it. Now let's say this mobile user is moving. Yeah, it is moving relative to the base station. Now this movement causes a change in frequency or shift in frequency of received signal due to the relative motion between the base station and the mobile user. This change or shift in frequency is referred to as Doppler shift. That is due to relative motion between the mobile user and the base station, or between the transmitter and the receiver. There is a change or shift in frequency in the received signal. This is termed as Doppler shift. Now let's say compared to the base station, the mobile user is moving at an angle theta. Now this is base station, this is mobile user. It's moving at an angle theta. Now how do we define Doppler shift? Let me say FD denotes Doppler shift. Now FD is equal to V cos theta by C into FC. FC is the carrier frequency, V is the velocity with which the mobile user is moving, C is the velocity of light, FD is the Doppler shift. No? Okay. Now the received frequency, let FR be the received frequency. Received frequency would be what? The carrier frequency plus the Doppler shift, right? Now let's consider different values of this theta. Let's say theta lies between 0 and pi by 2. Yeah, this is the range of the value for theta. What happens to cos theta? Will it be greater than 1 or less than 1? Sorry, greater than 0 or less than 0? It's going to be greater than 0, right? It stays positive. Now if cos theta is greater than 0, what happens to FD? Is FD greater than FC or FD less than FC? If cos theta value is high, FD is equal to some value times FC, which means FD is greater than FC, right? Which means the Doppler shift frequency is much greater than the carrier frequency. Now in such a scenario, we say that the mobile user is moves towards the base station. When FD is greater than FC, we say mobile user moves towards the base station. Now other way around, if we consider pi by 2 less than or equal to pi, what happens to cos theta? Cos theta is less than 0 and I made a slight mistake over here. Yes, of course, FD is greater than FC. Yeah. What happens to the FR value? Now, FD is greater than FC. Agreed? Now, we can say FD is greater than FC, which means FR is also greater than FC. Of course, FD is greater than FC means FR is also greater than FC. Yes, so we can say over here FR is less than FC. So which means the mobile user moves away from the base station. Yeah. So knowing the angle at which base station and mobile user moves, we can probably predict if the user is moving away or towards the base station. So that is it about Doppler shift. Now to compare different multipath channels, we said multipath propagation is happening over here, so each path can be considered to be a channel. Now to compare these channels based on the different effects happening in each channel, we have different parameters over here. The first parameter would be time dispersion parameter. Yeah, let's look at it. Let me first tell you what are the different parameters over here. So the first one is the time dispersion parameter. Second one is the coherence bandwidth. Third one, Doppler spread and coherence time. So time dispersion parameter, in the first parameter you'll come across this mean delay spread, excess delay and all that, which we actually obtain from the received power, the power delay profile. So this parameter, when we actually plot received power versus the delay that has come in that signal, we can actually get these parameters. Time dispersion parameters are, when you actually classify it, you have mean excess delay, then you have RMS delay spread and excess delay spread. So 3 parameters: mean excess delay, RMS delay spread and excess delay spread. All these values are obtained from the plot of received power and the delay. So once we get the profile, then we can actually get those values directly from the graph plot. Now moving on to the next parameter, important one, coherent bandwidth and Doppler spread and coherence time. So in the previous university paper, you'll find this question, coherence bandwidth and coherence time being asked, definition and the relation between them. So let's move on to coherence bandwidth first. Coherence bandwidth. So we know what is bandwidth, right? The range of frequency. So what is coherence bandwidth all about? It is a statistical measure of the range of frequencies. This is also a measure of the range of frequencies over which the channel, we're talking about the channel over here, right, for the propagation. So the range of frequencies over which the channel can be considered flat. What do you mean by channel being flat? A flat channel passes all the spectral components with equal gain and linear phase. So when a channel can remain flat for a certain range of frequencies, then that range of frequency is termed as coherence bandwidth. Or in different, putting it in a different way, we can say that the frequency range over which two frequency components have a strong potential amplitude correlation, which means, let me say one range of frequency is F1 to F5, next is F6 to F10. Yeah, so let's take two signals F2 and F7. Yeah, so if I take two signals F1 and F2, forget about F7 now, F1 and F2, they belong to the same set of frequency range, right? So these two signals will have a strong amplitude correlation, which means these two signals may undergo the same kind of disturbances and their amplitudes doesn't vary much. Almost they approximate, they can be considered to be of the same amplitude. Or maybe if there's a small change, that doesn't probably affect the receiver side. Yeah, it doesn't bring much change in the receiver side. But whereas if you take another signal F7, yeah, this signal belongs to a different frequency range. Now if I say F1 and F7, they don't have a correlation, right? Amplitude correlation, because they belong to different set of frequencies. So F1 to F5 is one set of frequency or one set of coherent bandwidth, BW1, or bandwidth 1, bandwidth 2. So this is one set of frequencies which obey coherence bandwidth, and this is another set of frequencies which obey coherence bandwidth. Now if we take two signals F2 and F7, yeah, two signals F2 and F7, we can say if F7, or if the frequency separation between F2 and F7 is greater than the coherence bandwidth, that is F7 and F2, the frequency separation between them is greater than the coherence bandwidth, then these two signals are affected differently by the channel. That is, they don't undergo the same kind of disturbances. They are affected by the channel differently. Yeah. So if talking about the correlation factor, if we consider 90% correlation between the signals, then you can define this coherence bandwidth as 1 by approximately to be 1 by 50 sigma tau, where the sigma tau is nothing but RMS delay spread, which we obtain from the profile, the delay power delay profile. Yeah. So if there is if the correlation is 50%, then BC is defined as or approximated to be 1 by sigma tau. If you look at these two formulas, we can say that there is no exact relation between the RMS delay spread and the coherence bandwidth. The exact relation doesn't exist. These all are just estimates, and if we need to get a proper understanding or to study the exact impact of the channel on the signals, we need to study the we need to perform spectral analysis and simulation to get a better understanding of the effects over here. Now that is it about coherence bandwidth. Next we move on to the Doppler spread and coherence time. Doppler spread and coherence time. Now all this while we have been talking about the delay spread and coherence bandwidth, which describe the time dispersive nature of the channel. Yeah, which means we say that that both the transmitter and receiver are considered to be fixed or in a local area. Now what if these are moving? When we say transmitter and receiver, if we consider them to be moving, or if there is a motion of the nearby or the surrounding objects, then we come to the concept of Doppler shift or Doppler spread and coherence time. Yeah. So what is Doppler spread? Doppler spread is a measure of the spectral broadening of caused by a time varying mobile channel. When I say spectral broadening, let me say I have a signal whose spectrum is S of f of the shape. Now when it passes through a channel, let me say its spectrum is little broadened up. Yeah. Now this measure of the broadening of the spectra, because of the time varying nature of the mobile channel, is defined as the Doppler spread. Yeah. So next, and one more point, if the baseband signal bandwidth, if the signal bandwidth is much greater than BD, where BD is a Doppler spread, BD is nothing but the Doppler spread. So when the bandwidth of the signal is much greater than BD, then the Doppler spread effects are negligible. That is, when bandwidth is much greater than BD, then the Doppler spread effects in the channel can be, or at the receiver, is considered to be negligible. Yeah. So next is coherence time. So coherence time is a statistical measure of the time duration over which the channel impulse response is invariant. That is, when the channel response remains invariant or doesn't change with time for a period of time, then that period is referred to as coherent time. Similar to the coherence bandwidth, where we defined as it as a range of frequencies over which there's a strong amplitude correlation. Same way over here, coherence time can be defined as the time duration for which there's a strong amplitude correlation between signals. Yeah. So this Doppler spread and coherence time are inversely related. When I say inversely related, TC, that is nothing but coherence time, is equal to 1 by the FM, where FM is nothing but the frequency after Doppler shift has occurred. That is, let FC be the carrier frequency, then frequency which comes up are FC plus the Doppler shift, or the FC minus the Doppler shift. Yeah, so Fm is one of these values. Or in another way, we can define Tc as Tc when the correlation is 50%. This formula holds good. So Tc is equal approximately. This is also approximation. Okay, is 9 by 16 pi Fm, where Fm is nothing but b by lambda. Is the maximum Doppler shift. Fm stands for the maximum Doppler shift. Alright, so this is it about the basic concepts of fading. The next video would be covering up the types of fading, where we'll be coming across two classifications. One is a fast slow fading and fast fading, and the next set of classification is flat fading and frequency selective fading. So we'll look in detail about the types in the next video. So thank you for watching. I hope the concept is clear to you. If you have any doubts, you may comment in the comment box, and I'll be answering you the best possible way I can. Alright, thank you for watching the video. Have a nice day.